Super, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start the official part. Let me see what I have to do to say hi to people. God, I'm bad at this. I really just like to chat.
Yeah, it's nice to be organic, right? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
yeah.
Okay, I'll start in Croatian and then we'll follow. Pozdrav, dragi ljubci, evo mene opet u još jednom intervjuu i ovaj put stvarno sam jako uzbuđena. Svaki put sam uzbuđena, ali ovaj put ne mogu vam uopće opisati. Zato jer je sa mnom doktor Ali FENWICK. I možda ga znate s Instagrama, ali ja ga pratim, jedan mi je najdražih Instagramera. I zapravo je behavioralist koji se bavi svim i svačim, ali na svom Instagram profilu najviše govori o vezama, o odnosima i mislim da smo svi uzbuđeni i ja, ali ekipa u Znanju, što njegova najnovija knjiga koja je zašla zapravo relativno nedavno, već ga imamo i u hrvatskom izdanju. Ali FENWICK.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Welcome to Knjige Svijet and welcome to Croatia. It's really funny because I made this long list of questions that I need to drag out of my guest, but then we just sat down, had a coffee before this interview, and it went like this.
Kafica.
So
Kafica does it, right?
Croatian way.
Yeah.
Kafica and Razgovor, and we just go. And I really, really loved how we started the conversation because it's, like you said, organic. That's the best way. You asked me what I do. I said I do books. And you made this great jump about how people are reading more. And we're needing books more. And we're needing stories more and fiction more because we made a relationship jump here.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. Look, it's funny that even with today's technology and mobile phones and mobile devices, PDFs and everything, I think people are now reading more books because I think that has something to do with also our relationship with self and relationship with other people. I think in today's world, and we already know, like the dating world has become extremely toxic. People are not very happy with it anymore. I don't even think we should be even calling it dating in the traditional sense. I don't think we're not trying to train for marriage. Where I think we're trying to train more for divorce in today's world. You're right. We're not really trying to find connection at a deeper level. And so a lot of people are feeling very dissatisfied. Mm-hmm. They, kind of say, look, I don't want to date anymore. I'm choosing for myself. I want to have a cat. I want to have a dog. I want peace. I don't want headache. Right?
I don't think my followers know me.
And I think this is a common trend with a lot of people, and so but still we are human and we need to feel a connection, and it's not surprise then that a lot of people are actually building and maybe not always intentionally, but they're developing a parasocial relationship with their character from a book, the protagonist of a book. Sometimes because they know that kind of figure is not going to hurt them. It's always going to be there for them. They're not going to talk back, but they're going to
be toxic, but just in the right way.
In the right way, and it's interesting because we can fall in love with fictional characters and they can be the villain. And I've talked about this on TikTok, and it just went viral, also on Instagram. And they said, well, how come you said this is the perfect person? They're the villain and they kill and destroy. But I said, it doesn't matter because they're, in your eyes, they're someone that you aspire to, you like, or you feel a connection to. They're the protagonist of the story. And so I'm not saying that this is the only reason. But what's really interesting, I used to live in Japan for many years. And so in Japan, and I was just recently back a month ago, adults have anime. They have like books where they're at 30, 40 years old, they're still reading anime, and they fall in love with this kind of parasocial.
Well, that's my group. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And I think that was very normal in Japan as a way to escape from life or to deal with life stressors, because it can be a coping strategy as well, right? But now I'm seeing that becoming more prevalent in Europe, and I think the dissatisfaction with human relationships is one of the reasons why this is happening.
Yes, I mean, human relationships are they're so complex, and you have to dive deep into yourself to actually maintain a healthy relationship, especially with time, with age, with life, with the modern life. You have this social media account that is incredibly fast,
15 seconds.
15 seconds, just done right, not a lot of words, not a lot of explanations, all great, but it's very fast consuming. Yes, fast consumption. And then you start this book with, okay, guys, we need to learn how to slow down and process.
Yeah, correct. Seems almost like a paradox, right?
Oh, why not?
Yeah. So, look, great point. I think we live in a world that is so fast moving nowadays, and we're actually heralded, complimented for being quick on our toes, for being
That's exactly it.
giving the quick decisions. But quick decision making in an interpersonal setting amongst people can also trip us up. Look, our brain is wired to help us to make quick decisions. Think of biases, think of stereotyping. These are bad things in an interpersonal setting, but cognitively, neurologically, they're there to help us to preserve energy so that we can use energy to make more thoughtful decisions when it's needed to survive. And so, but I want people to kind of slow down their thinking, because I think that really helps us also at the same time to be more critical. And I think we're becoming, because of our mobile phones, we are becoming less critical. And that can really hurt us in so many ways. And especially when we want to find relationships and we immediately dismiss someone after seeing the first red flag. Maybe that's a sign that you are actually the red flag and you need to become more aware of that. And so that's why I wrote it, to help people to slow down their thinking.
Red flag, green flag. It's super, it's either this or that, black and white.
Yeah.
But it's not.
No.
It's not, especially when it's such a great point when we are the red flag.
Yeah.
When our point of view is fetish.
Right.
How do you approach this?
Well, look, great point. I think red and green are subjective. Let's be honest, right? Yeah. And for some people, red flags, they can be red as a lobster. They only see green, right? They only see the good in people, and because of other specific reasons. But sometimes we think green flags, and they're actually turning, they're actually red flags. So red flags and green flags are very subjective. They can also be culturally subjective, right? Maybe, for example, when you're, let's say, pretend you have a boyfriend or a husband, and he calls his mother on a daily basis for 5 minutes and says, "Hey, Mom, how you doing? I love you," and they have that conversation. For some, that could be a huge red flag. Like, for example, even in the Western culture, but in Indian culture, that kind of entrenchment with the family, right? They see that as a red flag. Oh no, in Indian culture, that would be a huge red flag. Whereas maybe in Western culture, we see that as a green flag if that family relationship doesn't affect your relationship, right?
Right.
But then, so again, it really is subjective. But in the book, I dive into what are very clear signs of healthy and unhealthy behavior in specific areas of one's life. But also I talk about what are some of the behaviors that sometimes are not very clear, and how do we further investigate that. And so the beautiful thing about the book is I use red and green are not just red and green. Red is a framework, because red is an acronym which means reflect, engage, decide. And green is genuine, respect, elevate, empathize with, and nurture. And the green one I think is really important, because when people show green behaviors, our brain says it's safe, don't do anything about it. But that's what I think we should also be more mindful of, because when people show green behaviors, positive behaviors, I think we need to nurture them. We need to acknowledge them and validate them, because if you give the positive reinforcement, the likelihood that they're going to continue that behavior towards you is going to be high. The moment you don't validate people for their good behaviors, they might turn into red flags. So
yeah. I'm sorry to make this connection. Is the thing with training your dog. I mean, it's just you have to nurture what is healthy and what is good, and you have to acknowledge that it's not just about bad being. No. Which we tend to do.
Yes, yeah.
This is a given. The greens are the given, and this one is just fix this.
Right. And then, like you said, sometimes we can be the red flag, right? And a great example of that is sometimes relational boredom happens in every relationship, right? Multiple times, especially long-term relationships. But sometimes people can feel bored because the relationship has become stable and quiet and predictable. And then you think, oh my God, my relationship is so boring right now. But no, maybe it's not your partner that is the red flag. Maybe because of the stability and the predictability in your relationship, you are becoming now more aware of your inner chaos. And that means that you might be the red flag, sorry. And so I think that's what I wanted to talk about in the book. I want us to become more vulnerable, to be more mindful when you're ready for it. Because if you want the quick and dirty answers, like the quick answers, like the red flags and green flags, especially in the modern world, then those answers are going to be there. Go directly to the drama. What is the drama? But if you want the process, you want to become more aware of how you're thinking, or how you can become more aware of your thinking or the interaction of people, and you're ready for it, then you read the rest of the chapter. And then it can help you to explore why you feel that way, or why that's happening in your relationship. And so it feeds to people that are ready to accept, to learn more about themselves, or people that say, look, you know what, I just want your book because I want to know exactly what is a red flag and what is a green flag in today's world.
Of course, we don't share challenges that
Yeah.
my time might be different for somebody else's, generationally or geographically, or based on gender.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's perfect. When you're ready, you're ready.
Well, you're ready. Yeah.
Do it.
Well, yeah, and I think to the point to becoming when are you ready is that, that's why we're making this video, right? That's why we're informing authors through the book. It's giving people the information. It's helping people to understand what's really happening in today's world. Because I think beyond the fact that you said people just don't feel worthy of themselves, or self-doubt, or that also prevents us, all the psychological aspects or social aspects that prevent us from changing. We're also forgetting that the world is changing significantly in addition to that. And so I think that's the highlight of the book, that I talk about modern relationships like I don't think many books are doing, giving the terms, the recent developments from work relationships like quiet, quiet quitting, to situationships. We didn't have, well, of course we had situationships many years ago.
I think you're talking about situation. It's a real thing. People, it's a real thing. Well,
I think it's becoming one of the most common forms of people getting into a romantic setting. I think situationships are now it's just growing tremendously in the book, and I dive so much into the psychology of situationships and explain when is it a bad thing, and then I call it a situationship. And
it's not necessarily a bad thing to people.
Right. But that's when I call it a situation. So I distinguish between the positive and the negatives, because a lot of people complain about situationships because they've had bad experiences. But from a relational, psychological, behavioral perspective, there's also benefits to it. And I wanted to also give that perspective in the book.
That's awesome. I really love that it's not, this could have been a completely different book. It could have been very flashy, very much shorter, just, giving populistic. Completely. But you really dive into multiple, like you said, it's not just about intimate relationship, it's about friendships, it's about work-related relationships. Incredibly important. We spend so much time with people we work with. And family, you go into psychology, you go into childhood, parents, siblings, you go into shadow work, and it's just like you said, this is a manual. It's not just a book. It's like a true manual. Like, what were your biggest challenges with? And this is a lot. It's a lot to handle. For anyone.
Well, biggest challenges in what?
In writing this.
In writing the book. Oh wow. Great question. No one's asked me that one yet.
Seriously?
No. That's a great.
go-to.
No. It's a great question. I think one of my biggest challenges writing this book was a lot of things were happening to me at the point of writing the book. I was moving house. I was traveling. I was doing my work. I was facing some challenges. With work, and there were multiple things happening to me that really, could have stopped me from writing the book, but instead it inspired me to go further and work harder and just stay on my path. And that's kind of a moment. Sometimes you have those moments in life that make you reflect and think, maybe shit hits the fan because you're trying to teach me a lesson, or you're trying to make me, do even better on what I do. But you could have also said, oh, I'm so affected by this, and I'm going to stop everything. But no, I think it's that frame of mind, which I've always had personally. And that, I think, I look back and I say, thanks to that situation, I was able to be more focused. physically, I'm tired.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now I have to promote the book, but I'm at a different stage because now my body's relaxing, my mind's relaxing a little bit more, and I'm getting to enjoy the conversations. And this is kind of therapeutic for me as well because now I can get to relax as well. But it's been challenging. No, it absolutely was very challenging to write this, but not so much the writing because Penguin, the author for the English version of the book, was an amazing. I never knew that working with such a big publisher could be such an amazing experience. Because I've written academic stuff. That's tough. That's nasty, right? You get rejected, 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 rejected. It's very much a solo effort. But with writing the book with Penguin, with such a big publisher, you have a whole team behind you. Got marketing team, legal team, rights team, editing team, and I felt so supported throughout the process. That was definitely a factor that helped me overcome many of the challenges I had. And so I don't think this is going to be the last book I write.
Oh, I certainly hope so. Like, I really, really like this is a book to go back to. You can just like seriously just go. You said it as well. You could just let's see what this says. This is just go like non-linear
Yeah.
reading, and
Yeah.
it's truly a modern, like full sense. It's a modern read, and it's just so refreshing to read something that actually understands me or my friends,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
just the community, and that goes beyond we're all islands, because
Yeah.
it's tough.
Yeah, I agree. I'll give you some secrets to the structure, how I structured the book. So I wrote the book in a way that you don't have to read it linearly. So you can go from red flag number 1 to red flag number 9,
Yeah.
whatever interests you first. That's part 1. So because I understand, today's neurodiversity, people don't want to read things in a linear way. People just want to go for the things that, we want to go for things that interest us. And also because of our lowering of attention span, our attention span has gone down significantly. At each chapter, if you just want, like I said before, just the red and green flags, there's a section, what is the drama? In this section, you go straight to the drama. It's a summary plus the red flags and green flags. But like you said, if you're ready, you think, okay, looks like I might be the red flag, and I'm ready to read. Or they, my situationship is a red flag, and I want to read more in the psychology behind it. Then you read the whole chapter. So even to that level, I've made it kind of like stepwise, so that it caters to different desires, different ways of thinking.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And the author and the book works with you, and not just like, no, this is the way it should be, and you should you should read it, or you should consider it. No, work with me.
I'm working with you.
Your way.
And your mindset, right? Yeah.
Because we are neurodiversity, we are different.
Right.
We're in different spots in our life. People do struggle with reading. They want to read. They love reading. They do escape in reading, but they do struggle as well, especially with this fast world.
True.
Yeah.
Very, very, very true. And I also wrote the book in a very simple way, so that anyone can understand. Because you imagine someone's not feeling well, they can't digest 2 difficult words, or maybe English is not their first language, and so you want to be able to explain things as good as possible, but in a way that is accessible. And so that was kind of the objective behind it.
I really felt that.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple of more questions.
Yeah.
How is it to dance in front of millions of people?
I love it. No, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a secret source for all of us here. So another reason why I got onto social media is because during the pandemic, I got my master's in AI, artificial intelligence.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah. And I won't, because a lot of my colleagues are talking about AI, but I really wanted to dive into it and understand the intricacies and how do algorithms work in programming. And I learned so much. And so while I was in the program, I understood how algorithms worked. And so TikTok is a dance platform originally.
It is.
Right? But it's changed now. It's become like a search engine optimization. It's like a search engine platform now. And so it originated as a dance platform. So if the algorithm identifies movement that is beyond standing or walking, it must be dancing. But the algorithm is not human. It can't evaluate how good you dance. That's up to the people. So that's why I put my dance in there, so that it would think I was dancing. And if people liked it, then 1+1, the algorithm says this must go viral. So that was the reason why I put it in there, and then eventually became my trademark with the jingle.
But you still love it. It's
I love
not
it.
something
Yeah.
you don't like, oh my
Yeah.
god, I have to dance again.
No.
That's awesome.
I love it. I love it.
It's very playful. It's
It
very,
is.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
not just the algorithm, like it's
And
really fun.
it's a soft landing, because I think a lot of people, when they talk about, and this is again feedback from the audience, a lot of people have said, like, I really love your TikToks and Reels because you deliver the hard truth in a way that I'm willing to accept it from you.
This is actually one of my next questions. Like this, like I just want to emphasize because it's no bullshit. You know, just you
Just
go
zero bullshit.
you just cut through and
Yeah.
you say things nobody else says online.
Right.
And I can think about this a bit. Perhaps I am the red flag because it's amazing how you do it.
Thank you.
It's amazing how you do it, and I said this before when we were talking before. You have this. I truly respect that. Just like you work in a university, so you have this academic background that is not really in this story that we're telling now, but it's still a big part of you, and you have this. Almost, it's not silly at all, but it's almost silly account, TikTok, Instagram, whatever.
The videos, you mean, right?
The videos, yeah, of course. And then you have this just like supercharged.
Yeah.
It's supercharged.
Yeah. I wanted to make sure that it was science-based, not just because I'm an academic. I think it's important because with self-help, I mean, there's so much self-help books out there. And, I often, even from journalists, I get the question, one journalist recently said to me, just pretend I'm an ignoramus. I love that word, ignoramus. And about psychology, how can I validate and make sure that your book is valid and credible? And about credibility, I think it's a big thing. So I think providing science is really important. Scientific findings underlying your story. Oh yeah, just all of them. But also as a way but also providing a perspective and being, having that experience, I think is really important because you don't, to my perspective, and this is why I also often challenge these kind of these questions, because you don't have to just be an academic to have something credible. Look, there's not much scientific evidence around chakras, for example, or energy. Well, but who says it's not credible? If you have someone who's been working in that field and it's self-help and it works for you, I'm not going to say that's not good for you. I do think that's great for you. Those are great books. And so we don't need only to have scientific evidence to say it's credible, but we need to have a better judgment call. And if someone has a lot of experience and they've done a lot in that field, then that could also be considered a way of kind of validating. But at least in my book, I bring both of that.
You do.
Book.
You do. And it's a very holistic approach to
do you also know how I chose those 24 chapters?
I do not.
Science-based. They're based on my 24 most viral content videos that went viral on both TikTok as well as Instagram, and that means that what I'm writing about reflects what a global audience wants to read about.
It's amazing because you have like the numbers are just so big, and you have access. Yeah, you have access to this huge following, and you're utilizing the statistics.
Exactly.
It's very important.
Yeah. And so
book.
It's data driven, and I think sometimes I love posting these polls on stories, and I ask them, how do you feel about this? So, do you believe this or do you believe that? And then the insights that come out are phenomenal, and because you have such a big following, as a researcher, then I say, I need to do something with that information, right? So, and I make sure that comes back in the book. And as we were writing it, and then I engage a lot with my followers. I think a lot of people sometimes, when you've got a big following, they just post and they don't do anything. But no, to the smallest comment, I will even say something like, I really love that comment, or I'll challenge their comments. And then people will engage with me and they'll show me stuff that I never realized before. So for this book, I've had more than 1,000 or 2,000 conversations with people online, also offline, that have inspired my learning about what's really happening in today's world. And so I really think you need to take that approach, because everyday people tell you what's happening, not just science.
No, science is very limited.
Yeah, and sometimes it's a little backwards, right? We need to be more advanced, and you need to hear from people. And when you see the patterns in the behavior, that's where you can be the scientist and say, oh, wait a minute,
Something's happened.
Something's happening here. Yeah.
Yeah, I could just talk with you about different subjects. Okay, so I'm 37, I'm single, and I have this incredible one of the biggest world experts on dating. What would be your advice?
Well, look, there's so much to be said.
I want to benefit from this.
Let me ask you the question then. What are you missing right now in your dating life?
Ooh. Can you be more specific?
Yeah. Well, you asked me for advice, so I want to help see if I can be more specific
I
to you.
totally appreciate it.
So let's say, where do you feel that your dating life is not going well?
Situationships. Just getting that moment when you want companionship with somebody and they're willing to work with you on that.
Yeah. Interesting. So, okay, great question. I think situationships are now becoming very much the norm for a lot of people.
I actually appreciate that.
Yeah.
I like when people they figure out what their relationship is going to be.
Yeah.
How it's going to look and not traditional and
Right.
everything. I'm done with traditional relationships, but it's still challenging.
It is challenging. And so there's multiple reasons why people go into situationships. Look, I'll talk about the positives and the negatives, and then I'll see what the solutions are. And the positive side around situationships is because people nowadays need more richer experiences to get more satisfaction out of life. More experiences, more travel, more people. It's just how we are. We're just like, we need that a little bit more than we did before. And life is giving that to us because of technology and other, the world's moving so fast. So the mindset of a 20-year-old nowadays is, I'm here for a good time, not for a long time. And that means that I just want to experience. A lot of people are very scared about making choices. There's a lot of FOMO going on, right? Yeah. And so, if I do this job, then I'm going to miss out on this. If I'm going to do that, I'll miss out on that. If I'm going to stay with this partner, I'm going to miss out with someone else. We also live in a world that is economically very challenging and uncertain. And so when we feel uncertain, we want safety. So maybe safety doesn't mean being with someone who is older and more financially secure. Safety can also mean, let me be with you because you provide me what I need as of today, and maybe tomorrow, I'll find another job somewhere else that's going to give me more safety, more income. So I'll move away and find someone else there. And I think that aspect of the world is affecting us tremendously, to which people don't want to commit. Now, number two, I think people are a little bit more scared nowadays, especially younger generations are, in terms of face-to-face interpersonal challenges and relationships. Because their life has been they've been very much brought up using their mobile phones, that they have more control over their relationship with people through a digital platform. But when it comes to real life face-to-face interaction, now challenging situations become too challenging. And so they need more time. So this is a positive perspective, right? They need more time to feel safe, to be able to deal with challenge, with interpersonal relationships. And, when you don't like something about someone, then that's why they might choose a situationship, because I call this a positive situationship, almost like creating your own love story.
Yeah.
And because I want that from a love relationship, but those things that I don't like about you, I'm not ready to have that into my life. Now that sounds very selfish in a traditional sense, but for this generation, it's a way for them to start building more stronger relationships over time. What's interesting, there's a new phenomenon now, it's on TikTok as well, that's called the mutually beneficial situationship, which means that when a situationship, you say, well, you can sleep with whoever you want, and I can sleep with whoever I want. I'll be with you emotionally and physically, and we can have a great time together. But we can still go and meet other people. But because you feel so great together, and you don't want to call it a relationship, you have a mutually beneficial situationship, which means you're not sleeping with anyone else, but you didn't talk about it. And so It's kind of like a stepping stone towards something more serious. And that's why I think situationships, people, younger generations nowadays, they need more time to get where they want to be. But it doesn't mean that they won't get them. So if we can accept that as a pathway to more sustainable love over time, then I think that would be a great way of making a situationship work on the positive side. On the negative side, people use people, right? And so, okay, I'm just wanting you for the sugar, for the honey, and that's it. And I'm going to play around with other people, and I'm going to use them to my benefit, or when I want to be, when I want to be with you, and I'll be with you. And that unfortunately also is what creates situationships, which I want to distinguish by calling them situationships, right? And we want to get rid of situationships because they're toxic, narcissistic people engage in that. No way, get them out of your life. But how do you acknowledge if you're in a situationship? And I think communication is key.
Yeah.
Communicate with each other and say, look, I like being with you. I still need to figure out my life. I love my pet. I love my, I need to take care of this person, a parent, whatever. And I'm not ready to fully commit yet. But let's spend time together and let's get to know each other. But when you do that, so communication is key. And then both of you say, okay, I'm good with that. But also communicate when you do start feeling emotions. And maybe after 6 months, you want to say to each other, hey, is this something we want to take further in life? And have that conversation, but don't hide away from it. Because I think a lot of people stay in situationships because one person wants to keep them there and the other one is too scared to talk about it.
Yes.
So communication is key to make situationships work. Yeah.
Awareness and communication.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for this conversation. Like I said, that this is just this can go on and on. It's
Forever.
You're just a well of modern wisdom for a lot of subjects. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Anna. That was nice being here. Nice talking to you.
I'm happy that you had a good time as well.
Yeah.
If you did.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Znanje, for this opportunity as well, and with the Lubranic for the venue. And hope to see you soon in Zagreb again.
Absolutely.
And please read the book.
Red flags, green flags. Again, I'm going to try and pronounce it. Crvene, zastavice, zelene, zastavice.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.